Good morning. Today on Spotlight, we'll look at how Wayne State University is using its big footprint to create jobs, buildings, and businesses in Midtown Detroit. Our guest, Ned Stabler. He is Vice President of Economic Development. And later on our Sunday morning program, meet Diane Brewer. She is the Michigan Met Director, and Rebecca Kennard. She is the Met Fostering Future Scholar for this year. It's Sunday, September the 12th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. Ned Stabler, thank you for joining me today on Spotlight. You're doing okay?
I'm doing great, Chuck. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. All right. Traditionally, when we think about our higher education academic institutions, we're thinking in terms of the pure academics. You don't worry about that. You worry about the big footprint of using that university, Wayne State University, in terms of an economic engine in Midtown. Would that be safe to say?
That's right. It's funny you mention that because when we've been doing this now for 10 years, our 10-year anniversary. And when I first met with then President Alan Gilmore 10 years ago, he said, I want you to do economic development for the university. And I said, what's economic development for a university? And I still remember Alan saying, I don't know, let's figure it out.
Well, you've obviously figured it out. I see a whole lot of buildings going up. I've just passed by there the other day and I was like, whoa, where did this building come from? And what's this one going up? I remember some years ago, and it wasn't during President Wilson's tenure, I believe, maybe when he first got here, but I think it was even before he got here. I was interviewing, Wayne State had brought in the then president of the University of Pennsylvania.
Right.
And they talked about how they use that university to help turn the economics of the city of Philadelphia around. They sort of Wayne State has sort of used that as kind of a model that can happen in cities, correct?
Absolutely. So that was actually even before I got here. That's what helped spark President Gilmore to hire me and create an Office of Economic Development, was talking with President Roden back in the day. And then we hired the consultants who had been the vice president for Penn that led a lot of that revitalization effort. So we hired and brought them here, thanks to a grant from the Kresge Foundation and others, to help us create what we call an EDS and Med strategy, an anchor strategy with us and Henry Ford and DMC to really stabilize and revitalize sort of the Midtown area. And we've been very successful over the last 10 years. When we started with things like Live Midtown, which helped attract thousands of residents to the Midtown area, and Buy Midtown and those types of efforts to really create a vibrant, walkable district. And we've just expanded from there.
What's the long range goal? Because I think a lot of people don't realize, I think Wayne State is the 7th largest employer in the city of Detroit with a budget of like $2.5 billion.
Well, our budget's not that high, but our economic impact is every year.
Economic impact, okay.
Yeah, so as part of the University Research Corridor, we do a study every year on what our economic impact is on the region. And it's about $2.5 billion a year, mostly in the city of Detroit, which makes us a really large economic driver. And you mentioned our physical infrastructure. That's a big part of it, but so is our purchasing power. And we very consciously work to buy things from Detroit-based vendors. Last I looked, we were over 15 to 20% of our purchases were from local vendors. We hire locally. We also have intellectual property where we're commercializing new technologies to help in the city, but also placemaking. So we've gone out and done $5 to $10 million, all of it philanthropically raised, of placemaking work. So creating parks and walkways and just making the area a nicer place for folks to live, work, play, bring their families, and spend time.
We know that small businesses in most cities are the economic engine that keeps America going.
Absolutely. Small businesses across the country and very much so in Detroit account for more than half of the jobs in the labor market. There are thousands of them, but we've helped grow even more. So through TechTown, which is our affiliated business incubator and accelerator, we help all sorts of businesses. People hear tech and they're TechTown and they think, oh, it must be, high tech and all of that. And we do that, certainly. but we also help all sorts of different businesses, restaurants, coffee shops, barber shops. Last year alone, in the time of COVID, we helped over 1,700 businesses, mostly in the city of Detroit and some in Hamtramck and Highland Park, that were very representative of the city. So 86% of them were Black or Brown owned, 57% of them were women owned, 12% of them were immigrant owned. These are very much representative of the folks that live and work in the city of Detroit. Our goal is to end cycles of intergenerational poverty and to grow wealth here in Detroit, to make us a more prosperous city for the people that are already here and folks that are going to come in later as well.
All right, we need to take a little quick break. When we come back, I want to pick up on this diversity theme that you're talking about, as well as give the people some example of just who Ned Stabler is and your background and what you bring to the party here. We'll be right back. Stay with us. And welcome back to Spotlight, talking to Ned Stabler. He is Vice President of Economic Development at Wayne State University. He is also the CEO of Tech Town, so he gets to wear two very important hats in the city of Detroit. Let's pick up on this diversity theme, because I know you've done other type of podcasts and other programs. Why is diversity so important in this whole economic business development corridor?
Well, if we learned one thing over the last 100 years, is that if we want to have a sustainable economy and a sustainable community, everyone needs to participate in it. Everyone needs to get to benefit from it. So we've tried having a very segregated economy where there are winners and losers, haves and have-nots, and it hasn't worked. It leads to all sorts of other problems. So, we have a unique opportunity right now where we're trying to build back better, and we need to make sure that all of the city, all of the residents get to benefit from our revitalization, because that's the way we're going to make it sustainable, and that's the way we're going to make it a viable community for everybody in the future.
Sure. Mr. Stabler, what impact has the pandemic had on your efforts to spur this economic development?
Like everyone, it's turned everything on its head, and made us work 24/7, 365. When the pandemic first hit, we were really, really worried about all of the small businesses that we serve, because according to a JP Morgan study, 40% or so of small businesses across the country have less than 2 weeks of cash on hand. But if you go into Black and brown neighborhoods, that number jumps up to 94%. And those are the neighborhoods that we serve. So right off the get-go, we went out and raised in the first 3 or 4 days of the pandemic in March of 2020 about $1 million, $1.2 million, and helped distribute it in small grants to about 700 small businesses across the city to try and just keep them going until the cavalry arrived, until the state programs and the federal programs had time to kick in.
So it would be safe to say you were very aggressive when COVID first came in, and you didn't second guess whether or not this was going to be seriously impacting our society. You said, well, we see it coming and we better get busy.
Well, we were fortunate enough, we're based at a university. We were able to look at what our peers around the world were doing. We come from that mindset, look for best practices. So we saw what happened in Europe and Italy and Spain. And then we were actually still a couple weeks behind what was happening in Seattle. So we saw what was happening there, and that the fact that at a national level, at least, we were doing nothing to try and stop it from happening here. So we knew what was going to happen. And in terms of the severity of it, I don't think anybody has a crystal ball that would have predicted exactly where we'd be more than a year and a half later.
Sure.
But we knew right away it was going to be serious and we needed to do something.
And how helpful was it having a president of your university who's by profession is an epidemiologist and a medically trained Harvard doctor?
Roy Wilson's an absolute star, and I don't think he gets enough credit for his work, both at the university and behind the scenes on a variety of state and regional efforts. He really is a national expert in these things, and his leadership has been invaluable over the last year. I'm surprised he's not winning more of those, shining light kind of awards.
You have a Harvard background, you have a London School of Economics. How did that all play into what you're doing now?
So, I'm a Detroit kid. I grew up on the Northwest Side, went to Detroit Public Schools and then U of D. But like a lot of Midwesterners.
U of D High School, Jesuit?
Yeah, U of D High. Yeah, the high. Yeah. But then I went off to Harvard for my undergrad. But like a lot of folks, I went to other cities. So I went to Chicago for 5 years and then worked in the banking industry, took me off to London. But at some point I quit. I was supposed to be making a difference in my community, and instead I was living 3,000 miles away, trying to make money for the man. And don't get me wrong, making money's good, and we should try to do that. But my wife and I moved back here because we wanted to be a part of the revitalization of our state and a great American city in Detroit. And I'm just so blessed that I get to do this every day. And I love the fact that Wayne State has committed itself to making sure that everybody in Detroit and the region can access Wayne State. So it's our Heart of Detroit Scholarship, our Warrior Way Back program, and now even our University Pass program that allows everyone at the university to get free bus passes on DDOT and SMART and the Q line and MoGo bike sharing. So we're going to make sure that everyone has access to education, and that includes being able to get there as well.
Ned Stabler, thanks so much for joining me today on Spotlight, sharing all this valuable information. We'll keep tabs with you and all the development and all the buildings and everything else that's going on there in Midtown at Wayne State University. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate you as well.
Thank you so much. And when we come up, we'll sort of extend this conversation about education, and we'll talk to two people that are very much involved in the Michigan Met Fostering Futures program. We'll be right back. Stay with us. And welcome back to Spotlight. Joining me now is a familiar face to our Spotlight audience, Diane Brewer. She is the Met Director, based there in the great capital of Michigan, Lansing. And joining her is Rebecca Kennard. She is a Met Fostering Futures Scholar. Welcome to Spotlight, and thanks for joining me. Tell me about this year's program, which has to be a little different because we're in the pandemic, unlike past years.
It is a little different, but we're excited to get back together again to raise funds for this cause. We did have to cancel our fundraising event for 2020, but in 2019, we were at Rooster Tail in Detroit, and we're going back there for 2021. So as we look forward, we're looking to raise funds to help students with tuition, books, room and board, different expenses that they occur during college.
Sure. Diane, give us a quick overview on maybe how many foster children there are in Michigan, and and what kind of tremendous odds they face sometimes.
Yeah, currently there's around 11,500 students in foster care in the state of Michigan. And again, when they go off to college, then they may not have some of the support systems that other students may have.
Sure.
So we're there to help fill in the gap.
Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us. You're the scholar this year. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you in school, and where did you grow up here in Michigan?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I actually just graduated from the University of Michigan Flint, and I live in Burton,
Go
Michigan.
Blue, right?
Oh yeah. And I'm getting ready to start a new job at the REACH program downtown Flint, and I'm excited to be here.
Good. What was your major at the University of Michigan?
Social work.
Social work, all right. And the job that you're about to start, is that in line with your major, or did you do like a lot of kids do, they totally switched to something different?
So I actually started off my first semester as a nursing major at U of M, and then I switched to social work. So the job that I'm doing now is social work as well.
Very good. And what kind of support have you received from the Met Fostering Futures program that has been beneficial?
I received a scholarship every fall and winter semester that I attended U of M, and since I was a part of the empowering program on campus, all of my tuition was paid for, so I was able to use that scholarship on things like food for my dorm, because I lived in the dorms, or if I needed clothing, or if I needed gas money to get to appointments or anything like that. So that helped out tremendously with me. But I plan on going back next year to do my master's degree.
Excellent. And what kind of door did this open up for you? I mean, 5 years ago, 6 years from now, did you envision where you are today?
I honestly didn't. I honestly didn't think I was going to go to college because I didn't know how I was going to pay for my tuition or how I was going to afford to live in the dorms or do what I needed to get done to be able to graduate, especially a year early than what I was supposed to be. Um, so I think not only being able to do the scholarship, but like being able to go to U of M was a great opportunity for me. And I think I've grown quite a bit since then.
Sure. Diane Brewer, how do you get the word out to students like Rebecca when they first enter that academic world on the higher education level, that there is support out there for them, but they've got to seek you out, or maybe you have to seek them out? How does it work? And how easy is it, or how difficult is it getting the word to this population?
Actually, we have some great partners. There are college coaches. There's a system of college coaches dedicated to helping this population get into college, to set a course, to follow that course and support them. And then there is another organization through MDHHS, Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, called the Michigan Youth Opportunities Initiative. This group works with high school youth in the foster care system. So the means of making them aware that this is out there is already in place and functioning very well. So what they're able to do as they decide to enter college, it is an application process.
Sure.
And then awards are made each year, and they're eligible to receive an award each year that they're enrolled in community college or university.
They just have to keep those grades up, right?
We don't even track that. They've just got to have the will and the determination to stay and finish what they want to accomplish.
Very good. All right, we need to take a quick little pause for the cause. We'll come right back with some more questions to Diane and Rebecca. Stay with us. Diane Brewer, what kind of financial support does Met get to be able to put this program together and sustain this program year after year? And has the pandemic, thrown you a curve in terms of just the finances, or have you guys been able to weather the storm okay?
We've been able to weather the storm. Of course, the more funds that we're able to raise, the more students that we're able to impact. But our corporate sponsors and our partners make a big difference in what we're able to do. So yes, we go out and we solicit sponsors, we solicit in-kind donations for the silent auction, which is another part of fundraising. So they're very important to us to have those partnerships and corporate sponsors. And it's not too late, to get involved in Detroit. We have another event in Grand Rapids coming up in October. So we cover, both sides of the state.
Right. And people can make individual donations to go along with that corporation type of support that you get as well, correct?
Exactly. That's very possible. On our website, they can, sign up for a ticket to the event, or they can simply make a donation to the fund.
Very good. And I know we'll see some of that at work when you have the big benefit at the Rooster Tail, which I believe our very own Carolyn Clifford is going to be emceeing. I know she has for several years now because she's so committed to this particular program and passionate about it as well. Rebecca, what's your long-range goal? Now that you've gotten this wonderful opportunity and you've obviously made the most of it, where do you want to be 10 years from now?
Career-wise, I would love to be creating a transitional home for youth who are aging out of the system because many of them become homeless and they just kind of lose hope and they don't really qualify for a lot of the funding or some of the funding at DHHS. So being able to create that transitional home for them to be able to learn how to pay bills or do independent living things is very important to me, as well as being able to travel the world and see things, just kind of take advantage of everything.
Absolutely. Talk a little bit about the foster care experience, and was your experience typical of the average person coming through the foster care system, or was it totally different and unique?
I think for me, not every story is going to be the exact same. I was separated from all of my siblings, and I was only between 2 different homes in the foster care system versus many are from home to home to home.
Sure.
I was actually reunited after 2 years of being in the system, and I didn't realize when I was in the system, because I was so young, how many holes there are and how many children fall through the cracks. So just being in the foster care system can cause a lot of trauma.
Right.
Itself.
What advice would you give to a young person that may be watching this particular program that is currently in the foster care system? What would you tell them and share with them that may give them hope and determination?
A lot of them believe that they don't have a voice, and they do. They just have to either find someone who's willing to help them find their voice and maybe have a voice for them, or it's them having a voice for themselves. And that's one part of that DHHS program that Diane was talking about, the MYY program. They make sure that youth have a voice.
Sure, absolutely. Diane, any final thoughts? I'll give you the last word on here that you'd like to share with our audience as you embark upon this year's big fundraising program in the Metro Detroit area, because you do this across the state, correct? It's not just in Detroit.
But we service students all over the state. So the benefits will be spread out as students need them. So yes, anybody who would like to join the event is welcome to do so. Anybody who can make a donation, that would be fantastic, because it's going to help us impact students. And what we can do is have you go to the Met website, setwithmet.com, and there you can click on the Fostering Futures tab and learn all about Fostering Futures and find the link to either buy a ticket and come in and attend the event, or make a donation.
And we should emphasize that this is something that serves the entire state. Every community has it within it, rich or poor or black or white or yellow, brown, you name it, you can find it anywhere. And it's really about supporting our entire system with a safety net to make sure that young people receive an opportunity and then hopefully be able to make the most of it. Diane Brewer, thank you so much for joining us today on Spotlight. Good luck with the big fundraiser coming up in just a few days. And Rebecca Kennard, thank you so much for joining us as well, and best of luck to you in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
And I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the Spotlight. We hope you have a great week.